As you can see now, we have a much stronger flow going all the way along the back of the aquarium. One thing that I do not like about the Neoflow, so this is what I mean. So this aquarium doesn't have a skimmer. So on top of the water surface we have this sort of layer, looks a little bit like oil. And then we have sort of like an inline CO2 diffuser. Welcome to a new video everybody, hope you're doing well. So almost 1 year ago I made a video about the AquaRio Neoflow, which is basically like a transparent in and outflow for your aquarium. Very much like glass lily pipes, but not as fragile, I guess. So basically, since they have been released, they kind of became my go-to in and outflow for my large tanks. So here in the big shallow, I'm using the size L Neoflow. Size L just means that it's suitable for the 1622 diameter filter hose. In the red plants only Dutch style tank, I'm using the M size Neoflow, which is for 1216 diameter filter hose. And in the 70 liter scrapers tank, I'm again using the size L Neoflow. So in general, I'm very satisfied with the Neoflow. I mean, it's not as fragile as glass. They're very easy to clean. And I like how versatile they are in terms of flow. So what I mean when I say versatile in terms of flow is, for example, with the big shallow, I'm running a big filter. So here in the cabinet, I have an ALGAE Biomaster 850. It's a big filter, it's a powerful filter, and it's suitable for aquariums that are basically twice the volume of the big shallow. Now, you can maybe see that the flow is actually very, very gentle. And that's because on the Neoflow, I have the spin pipe attachment. So I think AquaRio calls this the Neo Reliever. And if you look here on the left side, the flow is definitely noticeable, but it's still very calm. And if you move more towards the right side, you barely notice it, even though there is still a good circulation. But that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have a big filter, big filtration, not a very strong flow. Now, if I was to change my mind and I wanted to turn the big shallow into a fast flowing hill stream loads biotop, for example, and that's also possible. And if I just remove this, the reliever, you can see how strong the flow actually is. As you can see now, we have a much stronger flow going all the way along the back of the aquarium. Tetra seems to absolutely love it as well. That's what I mean with the it being versatile, and you can just play around with the different positions of the outflow, different flow strength. Yeah, that's what I like about the Neoflow. And of course I like how invisible the outflow is, because I mean right now it's a little bit dirty. I haven't really cleaned it in a long time, so there's a little bit of algae on the inside of the pipe. But besides that, they don't really stand out much. And if you stand further away, you just barely see them there, even underwater. You just don't notice them. Now, it's not all 100% good news. One thing that I do not like about the Neoflow, or one thing that I have a bit of a hate and love relationship with, is the skimmer. So over here attached to the outflow is a little skimmer. This is something completely new. Nobody had ever done this before. Confused a lot of people as well, because normally a skimmer is supposed to be attached to the inflow and take all the waste into the filter. But here it's attached to the outflow. And the only thing that this skimmer is supposed to be doing is just keep the water surface nice and clear. So normally when you don't have a lot of water surface movement, you get this protein film or this biofilm, or what do you call it? So this is what I mean. So this aquarium doesn't have a skimmer. So on top of the water surface we have this sort of layer, looks a little bit like oil. And basically with that skimmer you don't really have this issue. So I love the skimmer because it keeps my water surface nice and clean. And basically because I have all open top tanks, for me it's really important to keep the water surface nice and clear. But there's a small problem with this skimmer. Basically because it's so small, it's also very, very sensitive. So right now you can see that it's working properly. It's skimming the surface nicely, but it's very sensitive to the way the water level sits. So if you have a little bit of evaporation, you have to adjust it again. If you add some fresh water to it, you top it off, you need to adjust it again. So it's very, very sensitive. I feel like the L size is actually working the best. So over here I have the M size. See, this one is, it's not really doing anything right now. Luckily for us though, AquaRio was aware of this issue. So they've just released a version 2. So this is the new and improved version of the Neoflow, which we'll take a look at in a minute. They've also released a few other things which are improved or new. One thing I'm very excited about is this one right here, the Neo Mixer. So this is an outflow which has a small diffuser attached to it. So it basically becomes like sort of like an inline diffuser. So let's first take a look at the new Neoflow Premium. So I think there's still the regular Neoflow and the Neoflow Premium. I think the regular Neoflow does not have the reliever and the skimmer, so that's really just the basic one. So if I were you, I would always pick up the Premium. So let's open this up and see what's new. So this looks new to me already. So we have a little warning here, a little precaution about the clamp. The clamp is made from plastic as well, so it's not super strong. So they advise you to tighten it by hand and not use a tool. I actually made this mistake myself once. I tightened one of the bolts with a screwdriver, and in doing so I broke one of these clips. So always just use your hands. And then what it says here, this is just an explanation of how to use the skimmer. So by rotating it, you can adjust the amount of skimming that is happening basically. And then this is an explanation about the reliever and the clips that you can attach to it. So you can have no clips, then the flow will go out from either side. With one clip, the flow will go in this direction. With two clips, you basically reduce the flow completely. Okay, moving on. So we have the two pipes again. So this one again is a bit shorter than this one. So this one can be your inflow and this can be your outflow, or the other way around, whatever you like. We have the cover from the intake, which just slides on it like so. Okay, moving on to the clamps. So these have been improved. So here as a comparison, I have the old clamp. So this is the new one and this is the old one. So as you can see, it's a little bit thicker material. Yeah, just thicker in general. It seems to be more clear as well. These ones look definitely nicer, maybe because this one's a little bit old already, but yeah, these look very good. Okay, so two clamps, and then this is also new. So in this bag we have the mounting parts for the clamps. As you can see, it has a very thick bolt basically. So that's also new. Yeah, I don't have the bolts with this one, but they were basically this size. So the bolts are now thicker. Yeah, so overall I think they just improved the strength of the clamps. Moving on, we have the elbow joint. This is still the same. And we have the reliever. I think this one is also still the same. Yeah, looks exactly the same. And then we have the most important part, the part which I had some issues with, the skimmer. So this part, and this part. So this is all part of the skimmer. So we can straight away see the skimmer is now bigger. So that's a good thing, I like that. I have the old skimmer here. So this is the version 1 skimmer, this is the version 2 skimmer. And then this is the tube where the skimmer slides onto. So now we have a lot more room for, room for error basically, for water evaporation, for top-ups. So I'm very excited to test this out. Let's compare it again to the old one. So this is the version 1 basically. And here we have the version 2. So that's quite a difference. They also included a longer one. So in case your outflow is deeper into the water, you can still have, basically you have even more room for error. Okay, so in a minute, let's add the new one to the 70 liter scapers tank. But before we do that, let's first take a look at some of the new products. So let's put all this to the side. It's like a puzzle. Here we go, puzzle complete. So let's put this to the side. So then there's these two new products from Aquascaping. So the Neo mixer and the Neo inlet. So the Neo inlet is basically like a shrimp guard. You know those stainless steel shrimp guards that you put over your inflow? This is like the nicer version of that. So they made this inflow with like, I don't even know how many holes are in here. So this is just to protect baby shrimp, baby fish from being sucked into the inflow. So I think this is really cool. Yeah, there's not much more to it, so let's move on to the new mixer. This is the one that I'm the most excited about. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the reliever, this one we already knew, and this is the elbow joint that we also already knew, but now the elbow joint has a little attachment to it for a small CO2 diffuser. So let's put this whole thing together. So there's a little cutout here, so the diffuser just slides in there, then clicks into the elbow joint, and that's it. And the good thing is that they've included two of those elbow joints, but one has the attachment on the left side and the other one has the attachment on the right side, so you can use it depending on where the on which side your glass is. So that's pretty cool. And then the reliever just slides onto it like so, and then we have sort of like an inline CO2 diffuser, and I'm very curious to test this out. Okay, so now I have the whole thing installed basically the way I like it. So I have the elbow joint with the CO2 diffuser in there. You can kind of see it from the top. There's a little CO2 diffuser. The next part is the skimmer. So we have the skimmer cleaning the protein film from the water surface. And then we have the reliever. So the flow is going to come out. It's then going to be pointed this way. So I've added one cover on this side because I want the flow going that way basically. So that's the whole thing completed. It's quite a puzzle. Okay, here we go. I've just quickly swapped the outflow. So the inflow is still the same. So we can kind of compare the two clamps. So this is the new clamp. So you can see with these bigger bolts, it's a little bit more bulky. Here's the old one. So you just had these smaller bolts, a bit thinner clamp. Oh, this is nasty. Come on, MJ, dust your aquarium as well. Just don't pay attention. So this is the new one completely, and look at the clarity of the plastic. I think that looks really good. It almost looks like glass. Really impressed with that. Okay, and then the actual outflow itself. So you might notice that it sits a little bit deeper into the water. Let me try to do this with one hand. So this part right here, they made it a little bit longer. So we compare it to the old one. See, so they made it like, what is that, 3 centimeters longer. So the outflow sits a little bit deeper into the water, and that way you also have more room for error with the skimmer. Second thing I noticed is now, because we have the diffuser in the outflow basically, the overall flow seems to be a little bit stronger. If I look at the micro bubbles from the CO2 diffuser, they definitely seem to be moving a little bit faster. So there's a stronger flow in the aquarium itself. I like to have a good flow, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, first impression of the skimmer is actually really good. Like, it's working well right now. And if the water would evaporate, it can still go down all the way to there. So we still have some wiggle room. And if we would add more water, it can still go all the way to there. So we have just a lot more space for evaporation or top-ups. Hello? What you guys doing here? So one thing that I haven't done yet is add the CO2 line to this little spot right there. So right now I'm using a regular CO2 diffuser. This one is actually also from Aqua Rio. Doing really well. But I was actually noticing that the drop checker is not really turning as green as I would like. So I'm injecting quite a bit of CO2. I mean, it's, as you can see, it's quite a lot. But I was still getting some algae issues. So you can see on this branch right here, if it focuses, there's some algae. So let's see if we remove the CO2 diffuser, attach our CO2 line from here to there basically, and then see what this diffuser is going to do to our CO2 bubbles. Can you see that? So there's a tiny mist coming out of the outflow now. So the CO2 line is now connected, so it's going down, out from the diffuser into the aquarium itself. And now you can see kind of that there's a little bit of a mist in the water. That's all the tiny CO2 bubbles. So I'm actually very impressed with that. So I'm going to keep the CO2 the same, keep the amount of bubbles per second the same. I'm going to see what the drop checker is doing, because it seems like there's just a lot more CO2 into the aquarium now, because yeah, the bubbles have been made a lot smaller. They're not going to the surface as fast as with the regular diffuser. So curious if we're going to see any change to the CO2 drop checker. Alright guys, that's the first look at the new and improved version 2 ALGAE Neoflow. Honestly, I'm very impressed. Like, the clamps seem to be a lot stronger. The skimmer is working a lot better as well. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's new, but it seems like the plastic is a little bit more transparent as well, but maybe that's just because it's new. Also the Neo mixer, the CO2 diffuser, I think it's a cool product. I think it definitely has a place in the aquarium. So yeah, curious what you think of these new products. Let me know in the comments. Also don't forget to smash the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.